and welcome to Stupid Politics. My name's Melissa Lineberry, and I'm the host of the show. And we are very lucky today to have a guest that we're going to be talking to. But first, I'm going to let my panel introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with the show.
I'm Jerry Titus. I'm webmaster and campaign manager for IndianaHonestMoney.com. We're promoting Senate Bill 453 to reintroduce gold and silver as a competing currency to the Federal Reserve note.
And I'm Anita Mickelborough. I am precinct committeeman, and I'm also a grandmother, and I'm a concerned citizen, and I want to know more about the money.
All right, before we get too far into this, I want to go to the basics. You were involved in writing a bill because you're concerned about our money.
A little history on it. A good friend of mine I got involved with last spring with the Ron Paul movement by the name of Paula Caudell in Nashville has been working towards gold and silver for quite some time. He opened up correspondence with some folks in New Hampshire who introduced a bill they call it the Gold Money Bill 5 years ago now. The bill was originally authored by Edwin Vieira, and then they rewrote it 3 years ago with input from a gentleman by the name of James Turk. And I took their legislation and reformatted it to Indiana's form. And Paul had been, over the last several years, looking for legislators to introduce it. He thought might be liberty-minded of sort. And found Senator Walker, opened up communications with him, and we presented him what I had done. And actually back up a little bit.
Do you know what district Senator Walker is from?
I believe 41, Columbus, Indiana.
Columbus, Indiana,
right.
Okay.
We actually, both Paul and I worked for Andy Horning for his campaign for governor. And Andy, in the middle of October, Andy had asked us to come up with some information and some ideas for a financial platform for his run for governor. And Paul thought it was a great opportunity to try to get Gold Money Bill into play at that time. And we went through and we got it done, but it was a little too late for Andy to include it in his platform. So we went ahead and pressed on and gave it to Senator Walker, and Senator Walker was able to introduce it this session.
Okay, so what this is a bill that we're going to talk a little bit about. It's Indiana Honest Money.
Right, I termed it Indiana Honest Money. It was just Paul and I at first. Paul and I are the committee for Indiana Honest Money. Two-man show. Although it has expanded, we've got a lot of very interested activists that want to help us out. What the bill does is we were looking for practical solutions to reintroduce constitutional law that we can use and help.
Okay, now when you say constitutional law, we always assume our viewers are new to politics.
Article 10, Section... Second, I've got a cheat sheet here.
Hey, we use cheat sheets all the time. That's half the fun.
Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution. No state shall coin money, emit bills of credit, or make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Fortunately, we got away from that starting in 1931 and completely away from it in 1971 when we were taking off the gold standard.
So according to the Constitution, only gold and silver should be our money. These green papers that we've been
Federal Reserve notes
having fun with
are fiat currency.
Are not legal. We've talked about a little bit, but they're not constitutional.
Not constitutional money.
They are legal tender because they say that on it.
Correct.
Somebody stamped it.
Correct. I believe that we really didn't have a legal tender law. I don't quote me on that, but until we started using Federal Reserve notes. And a couple of people have made mention over time, if you have a good currency, you don't have to make it law for people to use it.
Okay.
Anyway, we got away from gold and silver. And since 1931, when the Federal Reserve started in earnest managing our money, we've seen a 98% devaluation in the Federal Reserve note. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of it, but FDR's first act as president was what was called a bank holiday. For 2 weeks, he closed down the banks. And at the time, we were going through inflationary time, and when we were on the gold standard, people would get certificates, a bill that would say redeemable in gold. Well, a lot of foreign countries and a lot of foreigners held these, and when it came to the point where the gold that they were worth was more than $1, they were making money. So they were pulling their money out of the Treasury, pulling their gold. They were turning in their certificates for their gold and pulling out of the Treasury, so we had an outsource of gold going out of the country. And our Treasury was losing gold. So FDR put a bank holiday in. He actually sealed lockboxes. A gentleman I met a while back in his mid-late 70s, his father had been a dealer, and the IRS came to their house and escorted him to the bank to empty out his lockbox. FDR made it illegal for individuals in the United States to own any more than 10 ounces of gold. Took the currency off the gold standard. They went to a silver standard, but essentially it's been downhill since then. In my lifetime, since 1960, there's been a 68% depreciation in the value of the dollar.
And to put that in layman's terms, what you're saying is my dollar used to be worth a certain amount in gold.
For example, when this was first minted, this is what's called a double eagle, and I don't have my bifocal, so I can't tell you here. It's from the 1800s. Can you ladies make that out?
I maybe can.
It's right down there in the corner.
1915.
1915.
Okay, so this
is what's called, this is a double eagle. If anyone wants to zoom in on that. Minted in the 1900s.
There you go. That's why I call it stupid politics.
When it was first issued, it was worth $20.
Okay.
Now, I paid $1,100 for this in November.
Okay.
So, what that means is that as the dollars that have been printed by the Federal Reserve in circulation have increased, they actually have debased the base value of that dollar from $20 to buy this to $1,000. So that's how gold protects your wealth. That's what Ron Paul calls the inflation tax. As they print more money, the base value of the individual money goes down. So
we always say like a baseball card for our viewers, like if you had a Babe Ruth card and there's only one, it's worth a lot. But if they found a whole 50 more, your value goes down.
Well, that's more of a commodity base. When it comes to currency, it's like in a stock. You own stock in a company. Say you own a company issues 1,000 shares of stock. Each one of those stocks is worth 1,000th of what that company